Oh boy. Hi. Hold on. Oh man. Okay. 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 I am here. Hello. I have arrived. I have got to turn that music up. Why is that so quiet? Do do do. I guess it's kind of supposed to be quiet. It's the 3DS menu music. It's well, I thought it would be a nice soundscape for a chill art stream. But I think I'm gonna be listening to my own music on my side today, because I have a very particular playlist that I listen to. I guess I guess in future streams, I mean it's an unlisted playlist, so I guess I could provide the link. But then the stream would have no music at all. I'll work on it. Anyway, um, yeah, art today. Hopefully, if my wireless display program actually cooperates, which it has not been doing for the most part, but it is working now. So, yeah. Move the microphone to over here. Okay. Hey, Neo. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah. Well, I gotta. Haven't even launched Clip Studio. Do do do. Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I hope none of this music gets my VOD muted, but I don't know why it would. It's a Nintendo thing, so. And that's not typically a problem people have with Nintendo, with the music part of things. Why did it open on that monitor? Hold on a sec. You motherfucker. You little. Okay. Okay. Oh, and of course, the scaling is off. Sure it is. Sure. It's not like I needed to see the thing that I'm drawing. So, hi. This is a fiasco. Yeah, I've gotta edit. I've gotta edit the mapping on my tablet. My drawing tablet. My pen tablet. Monitor 2, please. Thank you. Okay. Well. Neo, do you like the soundtrack? It's the 3DS menu music. It's fine? Good. Good. Is it too quiet or too loud or what have you? I just needed some nice sort of you tend to not care what people listen to on stream. Yeah, I guess that's respectable. But yeah, I tried to pick a nice quiet, chill background soundtrack for the stream because this is chill vibes only today. Right. Excuse me if I am a little scatterbrained. Yeah, there was some troubleshooting before stream. And why is that not in the open like that? Well, anyway, where is my warm-up page, damn it? I am purposefully not sharing my screen at this point because, reasons. Where the hell? Where is... Did I scroll past it? It's always so hard to find it. Even when I... Wow, really? Serious? Nothing? There it is. Oh, okay. 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 And now I do this? Haha! Okay. Well... That seems to be working. Knock on wood. Okay. Whew. Yeah, it has been a day. Anyway. So yeah, I just wanted some nice neutral background sounds for the stream. Some nice, calm, neutral tones, and I feel like this is appropriate for that. I have no idea what to draw today. Just adjusting the mic a little bit. Okay. There we go. Draw a beetle girl. I could do that. I mean, I might as well take suggestions. First, warm-ups. Oh, my whole setup is out of whack. Do-do-do. I also have some other stuff lined up in the playlist. Wii menu music and whatnot. Ooh, lagging a little bit. Okay. Let's do another pass at circles. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. And then lines. Do-do-do. Drawing some lines. Drawing some lines. Do-do-do-do. Diagonal lines in a chevron pattern. Horizontal lines. Well, sort of horizontal anyway. Good way to get used to drawing from the arm and not the wrist. Of course, they're not going to be straight. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. They're just warm-ups. also have to account for my lean. I always lean to the right. Boxes. Okay. Man, I'm sweating already. I did use the stove this morning. I baked pizza. Homemade pizza. It was good. Alright. Now what should the warm-up doodle be? Doodle, doodle, doodle. Doodling. Doodle, doodling. I have got to stop elbowing my keyboard. Did I mention last stream that I have a limiter on my microphone now? It's very handy. Keeps me from peeking the mic when I speak too closely. I did? Oh, well, alright. Well, I'll say it again. I have a limiter on my microphone. Let me take a sec to mix my gamer subs, because I didn't have time to do it for stream because of troubleshooting. Mixing subs. Shaking it up. Shaking it. Drinking it. Gagging in revulsion. No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty good. Yep. Okay. Do you think it would be... I wonder if I could get away with doing a stream just with no music at all. That's what I'm wondering. Because the whole music thing has been such a fiasco in the copyright department. I mean, obviously, with gaming, that's not going to work because I need to hear the game. But, like, if I'm doing an art stream, is it really imperative that I have a soundtrack? Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe just not uploading the art stream VODs. So I can play my own playlist on them. But then I don't know if that would still be an issue legally. Because I know some artists, like Metallica, for one thing, is infamous. To be honest, the music thing is one reason you still haven't really wanted to try streaming on Twitch. Yeah, it's a whole thing. On Picardo, you just play whatever the heck you're listening to. How is Picardo? Is it good? Is it easily navigable and manageable? I mean, I don't think I want to just abandon Twitch wholesale. It'd be nice to know I have other options. What am I doing? I haven't drawn for like 20 minutes. This is a drawing stream, damn it. Alright. It's where you've been streaming for like a decade. It's easy, in your opinion, and it allows not safe for work content. So you don't have to worry about showing a boob. Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, it would kind of be nice to draw boobs on stream. Even though technically that's supposed to be... It's supposed to be... okay? To show female presenting bazongas as part of an illustration. It's supposed to be. I don't think in practice it hasn't always been it hasn't always worked out like that. It depends on whether or not they define it as being in a sexual nature, which furry art tends to be disproportionately blamed for being not safe for work, even when it's not actually intended to be that. Twitch scares you because of its now decade of culture. You feel like a complete outsider, plus the fact that it seems you gotta be on mic. You got a speech issue and you just don't want to be on mic. Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable. But you know, there are some streamers who have a text-to-speech program. Or, well, it's more like a speech-to-text-to-speech program. Specifically, the VTuber Zentreya does this whole thing where she speaks into a microphone and then that is translated into text, which is then translated into speech. So it's not her voice coming through the end. Obviously, you know, it sounds robotic and everything, but you get used to it. So, you know, if you don't want to be on mic and you also don't want to just do text, then there's always that. You was thinking of trying to find a text-to-speech TTS application? Look at me, Porky Pigging it. Yeah, I would say go ahead and try it. If you can find one that works for you. Because, I mean, Zentreya does it, and she's like a massively popular, streamer. So. Okay. Doodle. Doodling. What should I doodle? What should I doodle? I'm gonna... Yeah, I'm gonna try drawing one of my characters. I haven't drawn that in a while, have I? Well, let's try from memory. Okay. How does radium go? It's like kind of... It's got this kind of doofy... kind of doofy looking face. I think his eyes are a little bigger than that, but this is funny. This is his "do you have games on your phone" look. And then I think there's like... Yeah. He has kind of this thing going on. Oh yeah, and then he has these little palps, these simplified little palps that I like. And then his antennae are like very angular. And he's got this sort of cobra frill going on with his, whatchamacallit. This part. What is it? Oh, it'll come to me. That's radium. When I was designing him, I wanted to make him look as doofy as humanly possible. Insectily possible. Ah, he's my doofy little man. Look at this man. Look at this damp sock of a man. I love him. Alright. What now? Well, gotta make a new image, don't I? You know what? I am gonna draw the Beetle Girl, but I also have been meaning to get back into the game in regards to drawing my comic, and I wanted to do some sketches of my main character, so I'll do that as well. Hold on a sec. Okay. Comic, comic, comic. Well, you don't have to yell. All right. Well, I guess if you're so eager, I might as well just, I mean, I might as well just skip straight to that. No, let's doodle the Beetle Girl. I think it'll be a nice little warm-up in addition to my previous warm-up. What? Let's look at some reference. Do do do. Do do do. Do do do. I think I have some Beatles. I think I have some Beatles saved as a reference. Just a couple. Yeah, I've got a couple. Let's make her one of these. A jewel beetle. I think this image is from Wikipedia. Yeah. I get a lot of reference images from Wikipedia just because it's easy to... Well, they're usually high res, and because it's easy to credit the owner if I need to. But I won't be drawing too heavily from this reference, so I don't know if that will be extremely necessary. I'm really just going off of... I'm really just referencing head shape for this. A general physiology. Okay. Let's give her a little belly. No, I don't like that arm. if I can't kind of fix it a little bit. It's not so bad. Maybe move it a little. Shrink it a little. Move and shrink. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I think I'm gonna go with kind of a more insectoid design of the torso. Give it sort of just that sort of vibe. Don't like that. Yeah. Can't forget our secondaries. Yeah. Then I think our elytra should sort of overlap like so. What should she be wearing? What about... First of all, I think I need to define her shoulder a little bit more. Yeah, that's more or less more or less what I was. Okay, let's see. Maybe a tank top? Something like that. I've drawn a lot of tank tops. I think I'm gonna branch out into something else. Something... How about a sweater? How about a sweater? Oh. Alright. Now I know I have... Here we go. Do I have any sweaters? No. Not as reference. I have a lot of Y2K fashion though. Not really what I want to go with here in particular. I could give her something. Yeah, I could give her something like... Yeah. Okay. Kind of like a... cropped jacket, perhaps. It ends like right about there. Yeah. Probably gotta... Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. And then sort of a low cut kind of top under that. Just got this going on. Let's accentuate that shadow. I don't usually sketch with this pen. But I already started, so why stop now? Okay. Could probably get away with... Yeah. I mean, I'll be erasing that arm I drew, but I don't think that's a big issue. I was not super enthralled with it anyhow. Okay, let's see. Got some clothing folds. Not overly realistic, but, you know, doesn't have to be. And then since that arm is like this, it's gonna be wrinklier, like that. And then I guess jacket should probably end down like here. So it's not, you know, wouldn't make much sense otherwise, would it? Yeah, okay. And then antennae. What am I thinking? What am I wanting to do? Kind of something like that. Yeah. That's cute. And kind of maybe have that in perspective there. Does that work? And maybe I'll have it coming down over here. Yeah, that's kind of neat perspective-wise. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe instead it should be sort of coming down like that. And this can get moved. So it's sort of, yeah. It's not bad. Not bad. And then just, yeah. Sort of like that. Yeah. I think I need some, need to give her some of these. No, that's not the right perspective. I think that's fine. Yeah. There we go. Be right back. Hey, that's fine. Have a good lunch. Little bit distracted. Little bit scatterbrained. Right at this moment. But not letting it get to me. This is pretty cute. Pretty cute little drawing. Yeah, pretty cute little drawing, I think. Let's fix that hand. Shall we? We shall. It's okay. No, let's just redo this. Let's just redo this hand entirely. How about that? Hmm. Add a little more shadow under it. Hold on. I got an itch. Oh, hey Neil, you're back. Partner brought home Chinese leftovers. Aw, that's sweet. Awesome. Chinese leftovers. The best kind of leftovers. Beetle girl looking cute. She sure is. I got an itch. Gotta scratch it. Hold on a sec. I have exactly the tool for this dilemma. Scratcher. Specifically, it is a variety of back scratcher called a cactus back scratcher. One of those weird, as seen on TV product things. Obviously didn't sell well because it's just a weird back scratcher, but it actually works pretty well. Works pretty well if you are like me. And you are fat and cannot reach your back easily with a regular back scratcher. It's like, it's this, let me just give you a visual aid. How about that? It's like, so there's this big paddle thing, and then it's got these two ribbons. With these balls on the end. And the paddle thing has a bunch of spikes on it. Excuse the crude illustration, but you know, you get the idea. There's spikes on either side. And just kind of got the two different spikes are two different lengths. So you have like a, yeah, you have like a strong side and a weak side. All done. There we go. So yeah, yeah. You seen those? Seems handy. Yeah, they are pretty handy. They are very nice for people who can't really reach their back easily with other kinds of back scratchers, and they're also just kind of since you're like holding them like you have one ball in each hand, and then you just kind of scrape it across your back like you were drying yourself off with a towel. So it kind of provides more force, I guess, more leverage than you could get with like a stick with a scratchy bit on it. I've never been able to get good leverage with those. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty good. This has been your government-mandated diatribe. There we go. Oh, Beetle Girl. Yeah. You know what? I think I'll just leave it here as a little doodle. I think I have defined her enough. Maybe I'll come back and refine this into a proper drawing later on. But this seems okay to just stop here. Let's go onward. Let's start a new picture and let's do some doodles. Sketches, really. Okay. Let's pull up the ref. Let's pull up Arta's ref. I have two versions. Of her ref. There's neither of them are really complete. But there's this one that I made initially. No background, as you can see. But I didn't like the way I drew her head and some other parts of her body, so I tried to redo it. I haven't colored the redone version yet. But now, I'm not super sure which one I like better, frankly. You do like the head shape better in the second one. Yeah, see, it's just not... See, the thing with her head is it's meant to be a sort of trapezoidal shape. I made her face tufts too tufty. It needs to be more straight. Lines on her head have to be more straight. And I'm realizing that the perspective on the pedipalps here is not really correct. This should be farther to the left. But I'll be able to use this as reference just fine enough. So yeah, I just wanna draw her. I'm just trying to draw her enough that I can get back into the groove. think I made her arms too short. Maybe that's just a big coat making them look short. I don't know. I've gone back and forth on what her coat should look like over the years. And I've just never really settled on anything. Like, I want it to be big and exaggerated. But I feel like if it's too big and exaggerated, then it sort of dwarfs her figure. And I don't really want that. Let's take a sip. Let's take a sip of something. Little sip of something. You know what? I'm going to listen to my own music on my side. Let's pull up some music. I have a massive playlist that I made ages ago for this comic project. I usually listen to music while I draw. It's a very it really helps me get inspired, you know. Really helps me get into the zone. I guess I could probably link to the playlist if I wanted to. And then have it, then maybe the viewers could listen along without me having to stream it on the stream. That could be an idea. That could be an idea. But I don't know. I mean, because then, otherwise, if you're not listening to the playlist, the stream would just be silent, wouldn't it? Doodling. Doodling. Let's start with some headshots. I usually, when I draw her head, start with a more human head shape. And then I kind of draw the neck. Because the idea is the features of her face are meant to vaguely resemble a human's face, because she needs to be. I need readers to relate to her, and she's a spider, so obviously that presents a dilemma to me, because spiders do not have typically humanoid faces, or faces that are easy to empathize with. So I've given her... First of all, the cuteness factor is important. So rather than give her, you know, what kind of spider is she based on? She is, it's not a specific species, but she is a jumping spider. I sort of cherry-picked from a couple different species to make her. The angle is strange on this, but okay. Oh, right. I usually start with a construction line. I'll fix that in a minute. Jumping spiders are definitely some of those most relatable spoods, since they have those big telescopic eyes. Helps us see a humanoid face in theirs. Yeah. And that's part of why I chose that variety for this. Okay, we're just gonna kind of... No. Okay, that's not that terrible. She's kind of looking... She's just kind of looking to the side, let's say that. Listen, I haven't drawn her in ages, so... There we go. That's more or less her. She has another set of eyes back here. 360 vision, hell yeah. Sorry that I'm taking a while to respond to chat. I have it pulled up on my PC, but it's there's a bit of a delay because I'm not viewing it through OBS. Okay. Okay, look, it's a little more than a headshot, but that's usually what happens when I do these things. That's usually what happens. It's a bust shot. Yeah. That's the word for it. Okay. Now, let's try to sort of rationalize her head shape here for a second. The first way... So previously, what her head looked like was, it was kind of like I would have this sort of conical shape, and then I would just kind of... It's just like that. And that's, you know, that's a way to do it. It definitely matches the shape of the head of the actual animal a little more closely. Even though they don't really have heads, it's more like they've just got, you know. It's just kind of like this, where like the body is like... The body is the head. But I thought a good way to translate that would be something like this. But the problem with that is, how does she look up? See? Because her shoulders are like this. Her neck connects like this. How does she look up? It would have to be... So you can see. You can see why. It just looks too silly. And there are parts of this comic that I want to be serious. And I just don't think this sort of thing is going to work for that. So then I changed her head. I changed it to be more human-like. Like a Patrick Star pose. It sure is. So that I changed her head to be more human-like. That way I can use human references as well. If I need to have like a looking up pose, I can look up a looking up pose, and then I can just, you know, reference it. With this, it's like, what kind of reference do I use for this? Frickin' Ed from Ed, Edd and Eddy? There's a minimal amount of characters with no chin in media. So while I do like this head shape, and it is easier to draw, I ended up scrapping it. So what her head shape is now is, you know, more like this. So it's like, let's draw it from the front. I start with, you know, your basic sort of humanoid head shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect at all. And then I just, you know, just kind of, I usually I found that a lot of times when I draw her, I tend to draw her hair down here, which is not accurate. I need room for her to emote, so her hair really needs to be up here. Oh, by the way, it always swoops stage right. No matter like which way she's facing, it always swoops stage right. That's just a little clever thing I threw in for people who want to notice it. It's like how Mickey Mouse's ears are always like this, even when he's like facing that way. That little clever visual gag, which is more of it's you know, it is a deliberate design choice. To add visual distinction. So then, yeah. No, too thick. Nope. Drawing the other eye is always the hardest part. Those on her eyes, though. Those are eyebrows. No, too thick. Too pointed. Hold on a sec. I'm switching pins. No, too small. See, this is the issue I always have. Is her eyes need to be large. Some slight curvature going on here. But then if they are large, I lose room on the face. No, that's not right. That's right. So then... and her eyes are like that. And then her seti, I guess? The filaments that protrude from, you know, these things. Let's switch back to the other pen. So then, yeah, this is her head shape. But when I made this head shape, I wanted to include little bits, little parts, little pieces from the other head shape. Because otherwise I feel like it just wouldn't look like her. So you notice I sort of kept this. There's still this sort of line that you can draw. Like her older head shape is sort of contained within the new one to some extent. And if you view it from the back, like she has this big jacket here, right? So then the top of her head sort of pokes out of the jacket. And then that's the same sort of look, like if it's this head shape, it continues like that. But if it's the other head shape, you can still, you know, make the connection. No. So that's the idea. Still looks like her. I feel like the feeling of it is still there, yeah. Because it's very... the shape language here has got to be specific. Because she's a very angular kind of character, so to speak. Yeah. You can tell I'm coming from this from a comic angle in a good way. I focus on shape and form. Yeah. See, I've done a lot of studying of character design. Not necessarily in the context of like comic making, but mostly in like animation, character design, that sort of thing, where you have to draw the character over and over again. I have actually done a lot of comic studying, but it's mostly been related to panel layout and you know, what's it called? Not breaking the what was it called? The 3/4 rule? Where you're not supposed to... the 180 rule. That's it. It's taking you a long time where to get to the point where you can draw characters with consistency. 180 rule, yeah. So it's like, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar, but for those who aren't, there's this rule where if two characters are having a conversation, there's a limited number of ways you can film the angle. Like, imagine you're a filmer, you're a filmer. Imagine you're a director, and you're trying to film two characters speaking. Well, character A and character B must be, relatively speaking, they must remain on the same side of the screen. So, like, you can rotate the camera so like A is here and B is like close up here, but it's still, they're still on the left and right side of the screen. If you flipped it 180 degrees to where B is here and A is here, well, that's going to confuse people because it looks like B just teleported behind A. So, yeah. That's the 180 rule. So yeah, I've done quite a bit of studying on that sort of thing. And I have actually broken the 180 rule a couple times, but mostly deliberately when I want a character to appear to actually... When I want a character to appear as mysterious. Like, hold on, I think I have an example. Yeah, here's an example. Page 6 of my comic. See, I keep the rule intact. 1, 2, 3. And then he looks away, and suddenly she's gone. And then she reappears on the left. So now it's a deliberate breaking of the rule because I want her to appear that she's teleporting. In reality, she's just very fast and knows how to stay out of the line of sight. She's not actually teleporting. That would be silly. You love the last panel with her in shadow? Oh, thank you. That's actually... that's actually like the third time I've done this. Hold on. Yeah. No, I don't have to. Like, there's 1. There's 2. And then there's her reveal. And they talk for a bit. There's the third time. So I realize I may be overusing this effect to some extent, but I feel like it's a good way to... She's a very overly dramatic character. She is very, very melodramatic and kind of full of herself. And she likes to appear mysterious. So she always tries to stand in shadow. Even though she's wearing, like, bright yellow, like, neon colors. And it's kind of, you know, kind of hard for her to stay hidden. She somehow manages to do it. It's also something that will be naturally more useful in a black and white only comic. Yeah. So it makes sense for it to be more common. Yeah, I think so. So yeah. Oh, incidentally, fun fact. Frickin' pulling it up again. The font I use is it's not like it's a custom font made by a Tumblr user called... Fuck. I can't remember. Hold on a sec. I have it written down. Aegis of Worms. Tumblr user Aegis of Worms. Or Aegis of Worms? Yeah. It's a free to use font. No catch. It's just, you know, they made it for their own use and then they decided to just put it out there to use. And it's called Sketchy Siphonophore, if I hadn't already said that. It's a nice font. It's nice for using in lieu of hand lettering, which I am terrible at, which I'm getting better at. I mainly just use hand lettering now for little automatopoeias and stuff like that. So yeah. So that has been a massive help in the comic making process, because I didn't want to use any of the basic fonts because copyright issues. They're not supposed to be like... They're not supposed to... There's technically not supposed to be any issues with using fonts copyright-wise, because you can't copyright a font, you can only copyright the software that displays the font, technically. But I think there's, you know, as with everything, it's kind of complicated and hard to understand. And it wouldn't look right anyway. Like, I can't just use Comic Sans for this. Like, come on. Yeah, hand lettering an entire comic is hard, and I know that because I tried it, and it sucked. So yeah, that's been a massive help. Yeah. Anyway, back to drawing. So that's her new head shape. And then the pedipalps. I wanted to keep her pedipalps because I felt like that really accentuated her spiderness without being too uncanny. So it's like a massive help with that. I can't remember if her pedipalps are segmented at this point. Comic Sans would be a little funny, but that's not the vibe for the comic I want to go with. So her pedipalps. They basically work exactly like the limbs on the actual animal. Here's one extended. They are segmented. She can naturally extend them like this. This isn't just for demonstration purposes. And they're actually anchored on the back of her neck. If I can draw the back of her neck, Jesus. They're anchored on the back of her neck, sort of, so it's like they kind of have this little sort of elbow here. And then the actual pedipalp sort of wraps around her neck like that. So they're anchored in the back. So it's sort of like a collar. And then she can like extend them like all the way out to the back of her, as you would with like any kind of limb. They're essentially just extra limbs that don't have hands on them. Always stage right. Incidentally, I say stage right. That's, as you could probably tell, theater terminology. It just means right from the perspective of the audience. I think it leads to a lot less confusion than if I just said right, or the audience is right, or not her right, or her left. It's, you know, confusing. And then she kind of has this sort of thing on the back of her head. It's like a joint. It's made of more flexible material so she can move her head up. See, the joint sort of flexes. Random world-building question for spider people. Are the pedipalps considered a sexual organ like IRL for males, or just extra limbs for fun extra emoting? Well, I don't see any reason they wouldn't be sexual organs. It would be kind of weird to just have them out in the open like that if they were. But yeah, I suppose they could serve that sort of function. But also, we're kind of getting into genitalia, getting into not safe for work territory here, but just as a quick explanation, I tend no visual aid here, obviously, but the parts on my characters lean toward a more human look the lower down you get. So, below the belt and between the legs, that's all pretty much human. So, if the pedipalps were a reproductive organ, then it would be sort of redundant because they also have another set of equipment down there. But that does provide some possibilities that are interesting. You've been reading a lot about spiders recently, so it came to mind. Yeah, that's cool. Spiders are very interesting from a biological perspective. In terms of the way they reproduce and things like that. Very, very strange, very interesting. Or at least I find it interesting. And I'm sure you do too. But yeah, the less said about that on stream, the better. Anyway, so yeah, that's how her pedipalps work. And I tried to incorporate spider anatomy as much as possible into her. A little bit more at the start. A little bit less now. But she's still very spider-like. Like, for instance, I never limit the number of limbs she has. Like, I'm gonna try to draw her whole body now. Wish me luck. You know, what I struggle most with is static frontal poses like this. It's just, for some reason, always been difficult for me. I've been more inclined to action poses. Hold on. I need to pull up her ref again. You can see some of her midriff in the ref. Yeah. That's cool though, action poses can be tough. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've always been kind of unique in that regard with the way I draw things. I don't know why action poses are easier for me. It's just, I don't know, they just always have been. I think it's just that my brain is more predisposed to thinking about motion. Things in motion. She has kind of a six-pack thing going on here. Spidey six-pack, yeah. So then she's got a secondary pair of arms, which are shorter than the first pair, but not quite as short as the third pair. Now the reason I've made them different lengths is because when she lowers her arms, if all of her arms were the same size and length, she wouldn't be able to lower her arms fully. And it would look something like this. This crude example. And that does not really make for a good silhouette. So how can I solve this problem? Well, make her arms different lengths and different sizes. And also make her arms staggered. Staggered. Is that the right word? It's... Come on, she's got more cake than that. There we go. So, here's the primary arms. The secondary arms go forward. The tertiary arms go backward. They're farther back on her torso. So when she lowers her arms, the primary arms are on this plane. The secondary arms are on this plane. And the tertiary arms are hidden behind the two from the front. So that's how I solved that issue. It does mean her tertiary arms are sometimes not in view, which means that you may occasionally be under the impression that she only has 2 sets of arms. But I don't think there's any better way to solve the problem, and I don't know if it really matters that much that the readers know she has 3 sets of arms. It does also mean that she looks kind of silly from the side like this, with all of her arms just layered on top of each other. But, Is it something like the third set are often kind of put away and only got taken out, used in certain situations? Yeah, it's sort of like that. She usually has the third set like folded over her waist or tucked into her jacket or what have you. Or sometimes she does that with the second set, like in her ref here. Like, it's just, she does that pose a lot. Partially because she's kind of sassy, but also because I don't want to have to draw all of them all the time. Because that's a pain in the ass. But, you know, I can't bring myself to chop off her extra arms like that. It's just not something that I want to do. I like to give myself little rules and challenges to work by. Because it drives me to be more creative with my art. And that's one of them. I have seen another way to solve this problem that I wish I had thought of. But it's too late to change it now because I've already committed to this physiology. Where you actually, like, it's with a spider character. The character has only 2 sets of arms. Hold on. Two sets. And then, with the legs, they're actually 4 legs fused into 2. And that is very clever, and I made her feet too damn big. What the hell? That is very clever. That does make you think that there could be a character who does have the limbs missing from some kind of accident. Yes, actually, that's something that I intend to touch on at least a little bit, because spiders, in this setting at least, spiders and most arachnids, because they molt for life, if they lose a limb, they can recover the limb on the next molt, and then over a couple molts after that as it grows back. That's not necessarily how it works in real life. I know that arachnids sort of stop molting after they reach adulthood in most cases in our reality. But that's how it works in this setting. But only arachnids have this ability to naturally regrow limbs. Insects don't, because they only molt that one time. Is it possible for a molt to go bad? Oh, absolutely. There's all this medical trouble, especially since spiders are kind of a minority. Spiders and arachnids in general are kind of a minority in this setting. So the medical system knows a little bit less about them. A little bit less about their physiology, partially out of lack of information and partially out of prejudice. So there are sometimes issues with molting and things like that. Especially since molting in an insect society is more stigmatized because it is done so infrequently, and it's sort of like this rite of passage thing. And since it only happens once, it's not really necessary to oversee it at all in an insect society. In a spider or arachnid society, usually the molting is overseen. Like, it's like an Iridian from Project Hail Mary. How they have to watch each other sleep. It's that sort of social expectation. If someone is about to molt, you have to stick around and watch, because the molt could go bad very easily. And then they would just sort of be stuck there, naked and helpless, halfway, with their skin halfway peeled off of their body. And that would not be practical for anyone involved. So, you know. Honestly, molting is a thing that I would really like to see covered more often in, like, anthrobug media. It has a lot of missed potential. Especially for, like, romantic scenarios, you know. Like that kind of fanfiction trope of, like, you know, two people are stuck in a room and there's only one bed kind of thing. Like, imagine a scenario where, like, one character has to watch another character molt, and then they sort of end up developing feelings. Or maybe they have feelings and they haven't expressed them yet, and then it's just kind of an intimate moment. See, that's something that I'd like to see. Not even necessarily in, like, a sexual context, just, you know. Just as, like, a romantic thing. No, I haven't saved this yet, have I? No, I have not. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, just to make sure. Okay. Now I have saved it. One of these days I'm gonna forget to switch back to the other scene, and it's going to be a massive issue. That kind of unique intimacy. It would be really cool to see in a story, yeah. It would be really cool. I agree. I just said that, didn't I? I did. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm working on anatomy. So yeah, molts can go wrong, and they do occasionally, with enough frequency that it's important to oversee them. But a lot of arachnids who were raised in insect society, i.e. this idiot, a lot of them don't really know that that sort of thing happens, or that it needs to happen, because they're not used to molting being like that. So it can lead to medical issues later on in life. It can lead to loss of limbs, sometimes even loss of life. So, yeah. I'm making you invested? Good to know. So yeah, that's kind of part of her character, is that she's kind of a fish out of water kind of thing. She doesn't really, I guess, more of an ugly duckling kind of trope, where she was raised in a society that doesn't really know what she's capable of. So her third set of eyes sit back there. There I go with the lean to the right. Hold on. There we go. So her third set of eyes sits here. It's important to note, she does not just have 3 sets of eyes. See, she actually has a third set on the top of her head. Sort of buried in her hair to some extent. And they're really tiny, and they don't really do much other than detect, like, how bright the light is. Which is accurate to how an actual jumping spider sees. Speaking of accuracy, she can only see in color out of her primary eyes. Her secondary, tertiary, and quaternary eyes can only see in black and white, and these can barely see anything at all. I say black and white, but it's more of a sepia tone, closer to how a dog sees, I guess. There's no animal truly sees in black and white. That's just an artistic exaggeration for movies and TV and other media. How did she come to be raised in an insect society? Well, she was a foundling. She was discovered in an infant form. Maybe as an egg. I'm not really sure which one I want to go with first. I'm not really sure which detail I want to go with, like whether she's an egg or she was found as an infant. But she was found at a really, really young age, like infant age at least, by a hive of bees who, and these bees specifically were sort of outcasts from their own society, and they couldn't really sire children themselves, so they took her in. And the way bee society works is you don't have your typical family unit. You have like a series of workers, at least 3. Just pretend these are bees. And then these workers are given larvae. They're given them by the queen. Although the name of a queen, the name queen is kind of misleading because there's no monarchy in this setting. It's really more of a matriarch. But the matriarchs are sort of they act like leaders in a family unit, in a hive. So you have the workers, which are also offspring of the queen, and then they raise these, and then, you know, how beehives work in real life, except they don't all live in the same hive. They don't all live in the same location. They have many hives spread out over the land, and then each separate hive still receives the same offspring from the queen via baby male. It's kind of silly, but it's the way it is. So because they were somewhat excommunicated from the hive. So these particular 3 couldn't receive larvae from the queen, but they desperately wanted kids. They wanted to take care of children of their own. And so then, like, this little... I'm just gonna decide she was an egg at this point. This little baby Ara just kind of shows up. Kind of is... there is a reason that she appears, but it's not really a spoiler if I just give a little bit of information about this. On the night when she appears, the caretakers see this creature in the shadows. Sort of just this gigantic form shrouded in black. So there's this creature. And it just kind of drops the egg and leaves. Now, these creatures are well known by insect society as predators. Let me fix the beak. They're actually, they're referred to as dragons by many, but that's not exactly what they are. There is a creature called a dragon, but that creature died out ages ago. Long story. Anyway, these are actually false dragons, is what they're actually referred to as. False dragons or drakes. Now, you might notice this is suspiciously bird-shaped, and you would be correct. They are evolutionary descendants of modern-day corvids, crows and ravens. And they've developed this sort of quadrupedal stance where they walk on their wingtips. True dragons are more bird-like in that they have more of a bipedal stance. So yeah, just kind of left there as a baby in a basket situation by a literal dragon. Not a literal dragon, a false dragon. So yeah. Why were they excommunicated? That's a good question, and I haven't come up with an answer for that yet. They just have been excommunicated. It's just a thing. As part of their excommunication, they are sent to work on a farm on the outskirts of town, close to the massive wall that surrounds the city. Not Siberium, it's a different city called Maximum. More of your straightforward urban environment. But there's this massive, you know, like just a massive wall, like on Attack on Titan or in Pacific Rim. You know, you build a massive wall to keep the big things out. What they're trying to keep out are these things. So, they have a farm that's outside the limits of the city, but within the wall. Incidentally, these things are flightless. Otherwise, the wall wouldn't work, would it? So, yeah. And the farm raises isopods, which are the size of cows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Few people notice, but isopods actually have exactly 7 sets of legs. This is a very poorly drawn one, but you get the idea. Cow-sized. Here's a little bee person for scale. So yeah, Ara grows up in this sort of rural environment. She ends up, she gets an education, of course, in the city itself. But it does not go great, because she is about, first of all, she gets very tall very fast. So she's like almost twice as tall as her parents, and as the other. This is Ara, in case you hadn't guessed. Hold on. That's more or less her. Anyway, she's about almost twice as tall as everyone else. And that, you know, leads to your usual amount of ridicule and bullying and whatnot. Also, her being an arachnid doesn't help. So, she did end up gaining some bee-like habits. She really likes... She has a sweet tooth. A sweet fang, if you will. She really likes sweet things. Because they're honeybees. So that's understandable. She also tends to be pretty nostalgic for this farm lifestyle. As much as she did hate it at the time, she likes the important thing to note. These are dairy cow isopods. So they're like cow flavor. So she sometimes she buys like little charms and trinkets and things like that that have this animal on them. So that's just a little thing. She is somewhat embarrassed about this fact, so she will deny it at every opportunity, but she does like that kind of thing. It just reminds her of being a kid. It's interesting to note, they do produce milk. Okay, it's not milk. Let me rephrase that. It's, they're actually kind of marsupials, isopods. At least the land-dwelling ones. In real life, I mean. They lay eggs inside themselves, and then the eggs hatch. And then, oh, hey, Soul Zones. Thanks for dropping by. So, they're sort of marsupials. They have, they carry eggs inside themselves, and then the eggs hatch into a little pouch that they have. Sort of like a kangaroo, if you will. Or some other kind of marsupial. First of all, Banger OC design. Oh, thank you. Let me give you a better look. This is just some rough sketches of her. Ah, you mean the model? Yes. Well, thank you anyway. Yes, that's it. I will take that compliment. The lore behind my model actually is that it's a mech, sort of like Pacific Rim style or what have you, where there's like a little bee person inside it, controlling it. Very necessary tips for aerodynamics. Yeah, actually, and I have said this many times before, but I will say it again, they are dual liquid power cores. They run on nuclear energy. So yes, they have a reason to be there. It's kind of a shaky reason, but it's a reason. So the isopods produce this sort of fluid in the actual marsupial pouch, which in this setting has it's sort of imbued with these like minerals and nutrients and whatnot. You can just say tits are awesome, but okay. I mean, yeah, tits are awesome. I don't really need an excuse to put tits on a giant robot, but I like to make excuses for everything in my art, just as like a little detail. So that fluid from the pouch is commonly it's processed and then sold as a drink. So yeah, it's not really milk. It tastes more like seawater, but it is marketed and consumed in the same way that we might consume milk in our society. None of this really matters to her lore as a character, but yeah. So yeah, she does have some bee-like behaviors and things like that. Actually, the reason she wears a bright yellow jacket with stripes on it is, you know, as you can probably guess, because she wants to fit in amongst bees. And obviously the stripes on bees don't actually look like that, but that is a common motif found in the clothing of bees in this setting. Bee maxing. Yeah. So, so yeah, she has absorbed some behaviors and things like that. You know what? Let's just draw a straightforward, full body drawing of her, because I haven't done that yet in this sketch session. I have been rambling a lot, so I haven't actually had the time yet. Let's erase a little bit of this to make room. Let's actually flip the perspective and draw it from this angle. I have run out of room already. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Hold on. Let's just... Okay, there we go. It's not too bad. Fix that later. Let's try a hand on the hip. That kind of pose. Don't usually draw her like this. I usually start with the head and then go downward, so maybe this will be an interesting change of pace. Draw her getting an education and grade. I mean, she has had an education, not a fantastic one. She dropped out in her teens, but, you know, she has had one. She's not, like, an unintelligent person. I am borking this head angle. Totally borking it. Hold on. That's not bad. That's not bad. Does she call home? Does she talk to her B parents? She, doesn't do that as much as she probably should. There is a little bit of resentment involved with, like, the way that they raised her. She's a little salty about that. But she's not... She doesn't hate them, per se. She just doesn't really like the way that they handled her upbringing. Mostly it's just that when she was a teenager, she wanted to, you know, set off on her own and move to Siberium, this city in my setting, which is where most of the story takes place. She wanted to move there and live on her own and do her own things, but, you know, naturally, being an irresponsible teenager and whatnot, her parents said no. You know, she really did not like that. She did not like being confined to this dirty little farm in this nowhere part of town, and she couldn't even really go into the city because of the excommunication. So she couldn't make friends in the city, and she couldn't do anything outside of, like, the farm. And for a while, just to have a change of pace, she actually signed on to be a watchman on the massive wall that surrounds it, looking out for the drakes and whatnot that patrol the wilds, just making sure they don't actually breach the wall. So she did that for a while, and she made some money doing that. And then she eventually used that money to move to Siberium herself. And now that she's in the city, she's kind of starting to regret some of her life choices. Because Siberium is, to put it mildly, kind of a shithole. Yeah, it's not, it's just that there's a lot of, it's not really the crime rate as much as it is well, she blames it on the crime rate. That's part of why she wanted to move there, was she had this, like, clean up this one-horse town kind of mentality. She wants to be a hero. She wants to, you know, gonna go for today. Have fun drawing. Oh, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, give me a follow if you wanna. I do an art stream like this every week, so if you want to be notified about it, that's a good way to be notified. Is to. Oh, you already did. Hey, great. Well, thanks for that. When was that this stream? I might have missed calling that out. Or it might have been ages ago. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for the follow then. Bieber clearly hates me. Well, no, I'm joking. I don't. I'm just a little scatterbrained. Yeah, thanks for the follow. Thanks for dropping by. It was this stream. Well. Huh, that should have shown up in chat, actually. I don't know why. Because I have notifications set up. But since I'm on my other PC, it wouldn't have notified me, but it should have appeared in chat as an alert. It showed on the screen. Alright, well that's something. Well, anyway, thanks for the follow. Sorry I missed the shout out. Yeah. You can go now. You can go now. It's fine. I don't want to keep you here longer than you need to be. Right, working on the drawing for her. Just trying to. There's definitely a mean lean going on here. That I gotta fix. Nope. That's not correct. Hold on. Yeah. Got a mean lean. There we go. That's the proper way. Shout out you now? I mean, I kind of just did. But yeah. Soul Zones, thank you for the follow. But don't let me keep you here. If you had to be somewhere, you can go somewhere. It doesn't. You're under no obligation to stick around. Yeah, she's got this kind of. Pants kind of bunch up. Well, it's sort of like that. Yeah, whatever. And she's got these pockets. They kind of protrude a little bit. Her tummy's a little fuzzy. But also ripped to some extent. It's not really. Yeah, that's about it. Fuzzy tummy, good, good. You gotta have a fuzzy tummy. Like, come on. Her arm's looking a little flat here. Let me fix that. That other foot is looking pretty bad, but every time I try to fix it, I make it worse, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So yeah. I've got the comic on hiatus right now, and I desperately want to get back to it. Because I feel like I've let people wait long enough. It was supposed to only be a month-long hiatus, but it didn't end up being that way. Exactly. And she's got these stripes on her cuffs. And her secondary cuffs. You're cheering for me. Hey, thanks. We got at least one interested reader. Oh, thank you. But yeah, you know, I'm hoping I can get back into it soon, because I really just... Honestly, it's kind of just that I want to see where the story goes. Because I don't have the whole thing scripted out, and honestly, the only way for me to really see what will work and what won't is to just draw it. Let's give her another expression, actually. There we go. Feel free to hit you up. Yeah, you know, I will. It's a deal. All right, now let's move on to the dreaded left foot. All right, all right. You know what's interesting is that there's this manga I like called Dorohedoro, made by the mangaka Q Hayashida. And the way she draws feet on her characters, especially on her distance models, is they're just these sort of triangle shapes. I always thought that was a very interesting visual style, especially when viewed from a distance. Just these pointy triangle shapes really adds a nice dynamic touch to it. And it's when you look at her art, it's clear that when she draws feet, she starts from more of a triangle shape, or I guess a diamond shape. And I don't think I've seen anyone else draw feet in that way. Nope. It's not okay. Oh, left foot. Oh, dreaded left foot. You've got me again. Let's rationalize this. So the foot is made up of these shapes. You have this shape. You have this shape. And then there's this, you know, this shape is more of a trapezoidal. And then you have this down here. So when you put them together, I'm over time. Well, I can go for a couple of minutes. So when you put them together, you get more or less a foot. from the front at least. It does not look like a foot, but bear with me here. Yeah. So you got, and then you got, and then you got that, and then that, and then better. Still not fantastic. I think the plane is too low. It has to be higher up. Da, da. Make it a little smaller. Make it a little like that. Okay, that's good enough for now. That's... oh, whatever. That's close enough. But yeah, I'm over time. So I guess I should probably be ending stream now. I never drew her out of the men. Hold on. There we go. And just to start with. Okay. Now I am ending the stream. Well. Thank you very much for, where is my mouse? Where is my mouse? Where is my mouse? Where is... there it is. Thanks for dropping by. Now I need... well, that's the end of the schedule. I'm not streaming on the weekends, so... next Monday, expect the unexpected. I think I'm going to be playing a bunch of demos next Monday. So could go well, could go catastrophically terribly. One or the other. Yeah, let's raid someone. Starting a raid. 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 Why am I so quiet? Have I been this quiet the whole stream? Maybe the volume on my phone is just low. Oh, yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Anyway, yeah. Raid a channel. We're raiding a resident gremlin again, I guess. Uh, raid message. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna raid without a message. I don't think it's a big deal. Don't know if anyone is even here. Yeah. Okay, well, bye-bye.